Exercise Reserve Steel is part of a series of exercises that we've established between the Royal Air Force Medical Reserves and the United States Air Force Reserves. We exercise the operational patient care pathway, concentrating on aeromedical evacuation. Invariably, we operate together as allies in virtually any conflict we go into, and it's absolutely essential that we can understand each other's operational patient care pathway so that we can have interoperability between our two nations and services. Reserve Steel enables key NATO allies to understand better how we deal with casualties in a war environment and how we evacuate those casualties.
So during our first simulated patient scenario, we did have a patient go into cardiac arrest. We first removed their litter from the stanchion so that you can get more people around them to help you work. You'll do an ACLS algorithm, which is advanced cardiac life support, and involves compressions on the patient, giving breaths for the patient since they're unable to breathe on their own, as well as pushing medications such as epinephrine to help get their heart started. You put pads on their chest to see if there's any electrical activity to the heart, to see if there's a rhythm that you would be able to defibrillate. On the aircraft, you do need to take considerations such as putting a wool blanket down to make sure that nobody else is getting the shock disseminated to their body too.
My role as a charge medical technician, some things you are responsible for are aircraft configuration and working alongside your MCD, which is your medical crew director, to make sure that the mission goes as planned. We are also responsible for making sure that all of our patients are anti-hijacked before coming onto the aircraft. You are supervising the rest of the aeromedical evacuation technicians on your team, making sure that there is enough oxygen on the aircraft for our patients, along with making sure our amperage calculation is correct.
Getting some experience being the patient, seeing what it's like to move through that healthcare system and being loaded onto the C-17, it's certainly a different experience. And from the British medical personnel and the American medical personnel, there are a lot of things we do the same, but there are some differences. Although we reach the same end goal, we follow some slightly different algorithms and medical treatment pathways to gain a better insight into what each force does differently, that we can both learn from each other on.
As part of the 911th Aeromedical Evacuation Squadron, we have a very unique opportunity to get to work with the 612 RAF Squadron here at Leuchars Station, Scotland. Not a lot of other AE squadrons have a sister service like we do to train and learn from one another. So in the event of a conflict, we already have built a rapport and are a little bit more familiar with the differences in our squadrons, as well as how to work well together.
Some standout highlights from this exercise would be just working alongside the Americans has been great. I've made some good friends, and I think we've all worked very well together and learned from each other, so that's been a real highlight, and I hope to do it again in the future. There's not many places where you get that opportunity, and that's where I think being a reservist really comes into its own.